Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Brews and Reviews. It's Knowledge, and today I'm reviewing Streams of Thought 3, Cain and Abel by the GOAT Black Thought. And I am sipping on a Tiki Wheat from Galveston Island Brewing Company. This is a 5.8% wheat beer, a great beach beer from Galveston Island. And I've been on vacation. That's why it's been a little over a week for this one. So this is a great beer, smooth. Let's get into this smooth MC. Black Thought, Streams of Thought 3. We've been waiting for this for a while, been very excited about it. This is the third solo installments from one of the most prolific and consistent MCs in the game. I've seen the Roots in 3 different decades now, and I'm just waiting to see them in my 4th decade as soon as this pandemic clears up. I can't say that for any other group or artist that I've seen that much. We know this man's pedigree, we know his classic GOAT status, and we also know that on the Streams of Thought series that he showcases bars. And I like how the Streams of Thought series differs from the Roots' latest output. Their recent output is very conceptual, very much thought kind of in the background and just an element of the album experience overall. And these are completely different, showcasing exactly what he can do and putting his inner thoughts on display. On this project in particular, he works with low-key classic producer Sean C., who may be the most unknown classic producer that you know. He, of course, has produced for Jay-Z on Can't Knock the Hustle, Ghostface, Smif N Wessun, Dead Prez, and numerous other classics. So he gets it going with thought here. I'm Not Crazy, First Contact kicks it off with some spoken word about the mentality of European settlers when they first came to America and not seeing the Native Americans as human, but in effect not really knowing what human was. And this plays along with a lot of the socially conscious message that we're going to hear throughout the album. It's interspersed with some effect-laden vocals from Black Thought, and it ends with a sample of a police shooting, and it draws a parallel of white people when they first came to America and how they saw Native Americans as less than human to what modern American institutions like the police still have the same mind frame. State Prisoner begins with a more epic style beat from Sean C. and then switches into something smooth with the beat switch for verse 2. Thought kicks some of his trademark braggadocious wordplay with some intricate rhyme schemes, all to show us that State Prisoner is a metaphor for these bars that he's behind, these bars that he's spitting and blessing us with on wax. Case in point, he says, "The shapeshifter, weightlifter, I hate Hitler. I'm the great victor behind the bars, State Prisoner." Good Morning, one of the singles off the album, and I know y'all have been listening to this for a while, featuring Pusha T and Killer Mike, who has made some of the most socially conscious music of the year, already a candidate for Best MC of the year. He furthers his case here and really ends up being the best of the 3 on the mic with this particular song. He says, "Just as soon as the sun rise, the night dies. You was building pyramids in African empires, where pale-skinned savages with straight hair and light eyes was still eating raw meat and barely could light fires." He's explaining the accomplishments of Black people and how far back that goes. And this song highlights the strengths of the Stream of Thought series, where there's very much a focus on just raw lyricism, raw bars, and not so much about song structure or a chorus. So while there is some remnant of a chorus on this. It's really about these guys just spitting their hardest while still being lyrically poignant. And there's more of that on Magnificent. First of all, I love the understated beat with the bass line and the live sounding drums and how it works to really showcase Black Thought's braggadocious, yet at the same time socially conscious and poignant lyrics, where he says, "Haters, I am the weapon the Lord formed against those. I prefer the law of mathematics over Jim Crows." These kind of bars and lyrics are why we love this series and why we consider Black Thought one of the GOATs. After a brief interlude, we get into Quiet Trip, which is the first of 3 interludes with Portugal the Man. And I love Portugal the Man. While I said this series is mostly focused on verses and not so much of choruses, this is a really good chorus on this one and makes it feel more like a complete song than what we've heard previously. Portugal the Man makes it not only catchy, but also sound lyrically at the same time. And the Roots have always had a wide stroke on who they collab with, a lot of different genres coming into their guest spots, and that's one of their strengths as a hip-hop band, and something that Thought has carried on to his solo work. And it really works for him here. The live sounding drums and bass line get him to work with a rapid flow. He says, "I had no way to tell what I was in for. I was 5'9" like Royce with the giant voice like Mike Winslow. Never been quite like them, so I'm on my own time. Mind darker than a coal mine, thoughts deeper than a gold mine." And so far, this album is a great mix of straight spittin' and fully fleshed out songs. Nature of the Beast, this is the second collaboration with Portugal the Man, and what's unique about this is we hear Thought harmonizing a little bit. While I've heard him on Jimmy Fallon doing some harmonizing, I don't know that I've ever really heard him on Wax harmonizing like this. And while he can't hit the notes that his guest artist can hit, it's still very interesting and works within the structure of this song. And what else can this man do? He can already spit fire bars, he can already spit poignant lyrics, and now the dude is showing us that he can sing. This is the most commercial sounding track on the album, but it doesn't distract because Thought still keeps it real lyrically. He says, "I feel like Philip Seymour Hoffman, less Denzel Washington. When people are watching me, if the right amount of likes and follows can make me less hollow, I'd somehow be more complete." We Could Be Good is about the struggles in a relationship, and this is one of the few songs on this that I could really see being on a Roots album, and that may be because he addresses some of the same themes that we heard on You Got Me, but of course it's many years later and it's coming from a more mature and married perspective. And Thought says this, "Got my wife at home jealous of my microphone, telling me she's really been missing the smell of my cologne, that I'm too grown to be living this life of rock and roll, that all the tension is really starting to take its toll." A little reminiscent of You Got Me, for example. The lyrics on that, "Seems like I'm on the side, you're only loving your mic." But this time, he's married, he's been in this relationship for many years, so it's a little bit different of a perspective, but he's still out there doing it. So what does his wife think about that, and what does that do to his relationship with him being on the road? Stake 'em, and there's a great sample from Dave Chappelle at the beginning of this, and it's just a small snippet that reminds us why we love Chappelle as a comedian, because not only are you laughing by the end of this and there's a punchline and you're laughing at the absurdity of the situation that he's highlighting, but he's also bringing out a very astute study of the history of America and making that known to everybody that's listening to this or watching his comedy special that this was from. The beat on this is raw. It's a hard bass line, and this may be the grimiest beat on the album. Reminds you of some Griselda shit, but even better because it's Black Thought flowing over it, and his guest star, Schoolboy Q, who actually made a song called Black Thoughts on his best album. And this is just two grimy MCs over a grimy beat. And speaking of grimy, Thought has lines like this. He says, "Now get your fucking shine box before I put your party in a pine box. Remember we was broke as a promise. Let's be honest, them hard times scattered behind us." Thought versus everybody. And let's just appreciate how this man, who comes from a slick, highly produced, multi-instrumental featured band, can flow over this understated beat. Even though the roots, of course, are experimental and they've done all kinds of stuff, it's a highly produced kind of project where lately Thought has just been like an element, not the featured artist, but he can come through as a featured artist on his solo work, just as any MC should do on their solo work. He does it the best. Let's appreciate that. And on this Thought versus Everybody, he lives up to the title because not only is he coming for other MCs, but he's coming for society and institutions and pointing out all of these problems in the world. And he's killing it with vocabulary and references. I had to look up so much of what he was talking about on this. And this is definitely his most lyrically dense song. He has lines like this where he says, "My hand's against the wall outside a billiards hall. I hear police discussing whether to try and kill us all. I question if that mattered. Life is like a tree that falls in the woods, even with iPhone footage to see it fall." And that's just one of many great lines about his dismay with the disconnect of current society. And he's wondering that basically if somebody was killed by police and it's even on video, would you even see it? Would you even do anything about it? And that's kind of what's happening, is that we're seeing it again and again, and yet nothing seems to be changing. Ghetto Boys and Girls is a very short song, but still very much playing into the central theme of the album, or at least one of the themes of the album, about how Black lives seem dispensable. And then we get into Fuel, which is the third and final collaboration with Portugal the Man, and Black Thought's kicking great lines on this, like, "Yo, identify with the dead or the living, I don't know. Maybe my people set up to fall like a domino. America the beautiful, go ask Geronimo. What's the worst could they do to you? I bet my mama know." So he is drawing a parallel here from what we heard at the beginning of the album and how white people coming into this country treated the Native American like Geronimo, and what happened with the history of Geronimo, and he was a prisoner and he was exploited and he was treated as less than human because they tried to overtake his land, to what happened in Black Thought's mom's time during segregation. That parallel is there, and the common theme is the attitude of Americans, or what would become white Americans, to these minorities and people that were originally here, and how they treat people in general and see them as less than human. So this is a great way to round out the album and play into the theme that was going throughout. And I love it that it is just straight bars, but also sticking to this kind of theme. On Streams of Thought 3, Thought brings it. He can flow. He's got poignant lyrics. He's in his fourth decade of making consistent quality music. And this album is great. Is this a contender for Album of the Year? No. But that's not the point, and it was never meant to be. It's not out there competing with these other fully fleshed out albums. So if I have to rank this as compared to other albums that have come out this year, then I give this a 9 out of a 12 pack, which is good. But to me, I really think this album stands alone outside of a ranking. It's not meant to be ranked. It's an MC going for bars, getting his stream of thought out there. And to that goal, this is absolutely perfect. Thank you for watching my review of Black Thought's Stream of Thoughts 3. If you like this, go ahead and hit like now and hit me up in the comments. If you didn't like it, also let me know why in the comments. You can subscribe to my channel. The link is popping up right now, and there's some other video links on the other side. You can see what else I've done. I drop hip-hop and hops related content consistently, so until I see you next time, keep buzzing.